The village in it with a map and a plan. No place too tiny for this determined man. Crossing the counties one by one, you'll see in every English corner a bit of history.
Welcome back to the Forest of Dean, everybody. We have a saying in English that hope springs eternal, and I'm extremely hopeful that this weather passes over pretty quickly. As you can hear, it's hammering it down where I am right now, so I'm doing the sensible thing of staying in the car until it at least disappears a little bit, if not completely. I'm hopeful. Like I said, hope springs eternal. When I eventually get out of this car, we will be in the parish of Alvington. Alvington, Elfwine's farm. Round 2 in the Forest of Dean, and today we're in Alvington, a small village between Wollaston and Aylburton on the A48. We're now 6 miles northeast of Chepstow in Wales. Alvington was one of a number of hamlets dotted along the River Severn, following the former Roman road leading from Newnham-on-Severn to Chepstow, and was formerly part of Herefordshire before county boundaries were redrawn during the 12th century. At that point, Alvington joined Gloucestershire as part of the Bledisloe Hundred and became a separate parish. During the late Middle Ages, Alvington Parish and Manor were under the ownership of Clan Anthony Priory in Gloucester, which was dissolved in 1539. Alvington has variously boasted 2 smithies, a small brewery, a small engineering works and several shops, whilst the population has usually been between 300 and 500 since the mid-19th century. During the 1960s, the development of a council estate increased the size of the village somewhat. There is a strong agricultural influence in the village today, although historically this would have been more evident. There used to be a school here dating back to around 1850, however the last remnants of it closed in 1958. Today, Alvington has little in the way of shops, and villagers have to travel to Lydney for most services. This is known as the Village of the White Elf by the locals. We'll discuss that in more detail as we walk. So, for round 2 in the Forest of Dean, let's go and see what Alvington is all about. So this is Alvington, and there's not a lot to it. Most of the village lies on the A48, the former Roman road. It's always been a very agricultural village historically, but less so these days. There are a few clues to its past dotted around, like for example a former malt house on this, our first street. Alvington has 3 pubs. One of them is the Swan Inn, which technically is over the border into Wollaston, just. However, there can be no denying its ownership of this beauty, the Globe. This dates back to 1805 and was last reopened in 2014 after a period of closure which saw the building fall into disrepair. The Globe was originally a coaching inn and later a hotel. The land it sits on had a barn in the 1600s that was rethatched in 1745. From 1937 to 2018, the McKerrow family owned the Globe Inn, with 3 generations of the family taking turns as owners. In 2012, a group of locals purchased the property and renovated it completely, turning it into a modern pub and restaurant that still retains its traditional charm. It's a Grade 2 listed building. Heading north up the A48, the next thing of note is a petrol station, one of very few between Lydney and Chepstow. As well as serving fuel, this also doubles as Alvington's local shop. There are no other shops in the village today. Let's turn around here and head back towards Court Lane. Cricket is our next subject. Alvington and Wollaston Cricket Club was founded in 1983, originally playing at Wollaston Primary School. Today, they now play their home fixtures in Alvington on this sports ground on Court Lane. The club competes in the KW Bell Forest League and the Forest Midweek League too. In addition, Alvington's football team, which reformed in 2024 after almost 50 years under the name Alvington Star FC, play here too. The team play in old gold and black striped shirts. Sports teams currently change in a converted shipping container in the far corner of the field, but there are some plans to build a new multi-use facility in the next few years. Court Lane is otherwise residential and there's not a lot to it, so again we turn around and this time we're heading for the church. In doing so, we pass some lovely properties and what looks like an old shop of some kind too. Well, there could be no denying the magnificence of some of these properties. I mean, look at that one behind us there that you've just seen in the last shot. Isn't that absolutely gorgeous? Now, in terms of major landmarks, of course, Alvington doesn't have all that many. We've seen a couple already: the sports field, the pub, the petrol station. There's only really a handful more because this place is so small. One of them is the church, which is what we're heading for now. So at the end of this lane, there's a wall, as you can see right there, and the lit gate of the church is directly ahead of us. We're going to go through that massive lit gate, by the way, and into the churchyard and see what that's all about. Alvington's church was built by Clan Anthony Priory in around 1140 and was originally dedicated to St Mary. That was until it took its current dedication, St Andrew, in 1523. In 1858, the church underwent substantial restoration, leaving only one small window as evidence of its Norman origins. It appears that most of the geometrical decorated windows were renewed at that time. It has a 12th century south arcade, a 13th century font and a 14th century chancel arch. In the tower, which was added in around 1300, there's a peal of 5 bells, 2 of which date from around 1499 and 1634. An award-winning team of ringers sound the bells regularly. In 2008, the church was the scene of a significant archaeological discovery. An excavation uncovered evidence of Roman structures, cobbled surfaces and iron-working residues from the 3rd and 4th centuries. Okay, the next landmark is the village hall, and the reason I'm laughing at this point here is because I can hear there's somebody in the village hall right now. There's some questionable singing going on. Sounds like a mini karaoke concert or something like that. In fact, it could well be, because there's a board here that says there's a fundraising concert at some point in the not too distant future. I haven't looked at the date, but it could well be today, and that might be what I can hear. So yeah, on these next few shots, if you hear some rather, like I said, questionable singing, it's not me, it's whoever's in there. The village hall goes by various names. Some call it the Memorial Hall, others the Alvington Institute, but put simply, it's the village hall, any way you slice it. It was built in 1924 as a memorial to those who fell in World War I. It has a capacity of 80. Inside there's a main hall and 1 meeting room. Now, I've no idea about the dodgy singing, but I'm not one to quibble. Whoever was making the noise in there was having a good time. Good on them, I say. The next job was to find our way back to the A48. There are 2 ways to do it. There's the easy way, which is just following the road north after the village hall, or there's the slightly longer route via Knapp Lane. I chose the latter so I could get in a bit more of the village. Back on the A48, next we have the other pub, the Blacksmiths Arms. This dates back to the late 19th century and occupies a building that was formerly a smithy, hence the pub's current name. The pub started as 2 cottages with fruit orchards and a cider mill in 1820 before gaining a drinks licence in the early 1900s. Traditions of warming jugs of cider on the cast iron hobs are remembered to this day, and the early Victorian fires and old wood panel seats have been retained to create a cosy atmosphere of old world charm. The Blacksmiths Arms is well known throughout the area for its extensive and varied menu, as well as a good selection of beers, wines and real ales. Okay, we've made it back to the Globe Inn, which means we've made it all the way around Alvington. Although there is a little bit more to the village just yet, but we'll catch that on the drive out, because this road here, which is a single track with passing places, will take us up towards the next parish here in the Forest of Dean, so we'll just catch that in the car. Lovely place, shame about the weather. It did eventually clear up, but yeah, I'm enjoying my time here so far. Now, I can't leave Alvington behind without a mention of two local folklore or paranormal tales. The village has been at the centre of a number of these in recent years. In 2009, local resident David Crook claimed to have spotted bright lights in the sky above the playing fields. The lights burned brightly in the sky to such an extent that he rushed into the village, knocking on doors to warn residents. The lights turned out to be a child up a tree with a torch, but to this day, he still claims it was aliens. Perhaps one tale that's a bit more believable, is the one concerning the White Elf. Now, to understand this, you first have to understand the name of the village that we've just walked around. Officially, according to the University of Nottingham's Key to English Place Names, Alvington means Elfwine's Farm. However, there is a second theory which says instead the name means White Elf Homestead. This could be true if you believe stories from our pagan ancestry. In theory, the first part of the name, Al, could mean elf or spirit. Legend has it that the White Elf or spirit roams the village, although few have claimed to have ever seen it. I'd be interested to know, though, how many have. The comments section below is yours, Alvington. Do you have anything to tell us about this elusive being? And with that, we're done with the village and parish of Alvington. Quite a nice place in all, what say you? Tomorrow we're going to another one, although now we're moving away from the Severn estuary somewhat as we make for another river. Tomorrow, part of the video will be filmed in Wales as we stand over the impressive River Wye. Now, just before I go, remember, this video is part of a huge project to visit every civil parish in England. That's more than 10,000. These routes are pre-planned, and due to time constraints, I can't cover every detail or walk down every street. Please don't complain if this video missed something out. I pronounce names how I choose to. I am very aware that local dialect may vary, and I don't take kindly to criticism about this. You've been warned. It's impossible to know everything too. If this video was terrible, make your own. If you're a regular watcher of The Village Idiot, you're not the only one. If you've got a small business, why not use my videos to advertise it? Leave a comment below if you're interested. And finally, thanks for watching this episode, everybody. Give us a like and a subscribe if you've enjoyed this episode, and share it with your friends and relatives. It all helps to keep this mission going. Until next time, I've been Andy, also known as The Village Idiot, and I'm out.